Hello, Libra soul, tell me this. What if I told you that the financial shock you're sensing isn't here to break you but to reveal you? You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. This moment, this message, this feeling rising in your chest right now, it's part of something greater. This is Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and today's deep reading is not just about your horoscope, it's about awakening the leader in you. The winds of change are swirling, Libra. You've likely been feeling it, a tension in your chest, a whisper in your thoughts, a subtle imbalance that won't settle. The scales are shifting. And while the world may call it chaos, the stars call it correction. This financial shock you've been dreading? It's not a punishment. It's a recalibration. A sacred moment where your soul steps forward and says, I was born to lead through this. Because let's be honest, Libra, you were never meant to follow the crowd. You were born under the sign of the scales, not to weigh right and wrong by the world's standards, but to restore harmony when others lose their center. And now, the universe is calling on you not to panic, not to retreat, but to step forward with grace, clarity, and power. Something is changing in your life, something big. And if you're watching this right now, it means you're ready to meet it. So before we move further, take a moment to breathe. Inhale deeply, imagine the air bringing you balance. Exhale and let go of the pressure to have it all figured out right now. Because today, you and I are going to walk through this message together, not as strangers, but as cosmic partners navigating your sacred path. I want to pause here and offer my deepest gratitude for your presence. Every like, every comment, every subscription you've offered to Zodiac Whisper Tarot doesn't just grow this channel, it sends a ripple through the energetic web that connects all of us seeking truth, healing, and alignment. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for trusting this space with your journey. And Libra, beloved air sign of beauty and balance, trust me, you'll want to stay with me until the very end of today's message. Because what the universe is preparing to reveal to you, it's not just a forecast. It's a divine invitation. To remember who you are. To reclaim your center. To lead, not because the world needs a hero, but because you finally remember you've been one all along. Now tell me, Libra, what aligned force brought you here today? Was it the number 22 dancing through your dreams? The signs you couldn't ignore? Let's find out together. Speech balloon comment below. I was born to lead through the storm. Your journey begins now. There are moments in life when the ground beneath us feels like it's beginning to tremble, not violently, but with a quiet, persistent shift. For you, Libra, this moment may feel like exactly that. What you've built, what you've held on to, especially in the realm of finances and security, is now being tested, not to destroy, but to refine. The energy swirling around you now is not here to punish or strip you of your dignity. It's here to reintroduce you to something far more essential, the truth of what still holds real value in your life and what has only been held together by fear of change. The Justice card appearing in this reading is no coincidence. It is your mirror. It stands as a sacred reminder that balance isn't something that happens outside of us, it's something we are constantly choosing, recalibrating, living. When the world grows chaotic, the scales you carry within begin to glow. You are the one who weighs emotion with reason, giving heart and logic equal voice. And right now, as certain financial structures shift or even collapse, the universe isn't asking you to panic. It's asking you to reassess. To look with unflinching honesty at what you've been clinging to, not because it supports you but because it protects you from facing discomfort. Astrologically, Saturn's retrograde transit through your 8th house pulls this transformation even deeper. This isn't just about your wallet, Libra. It's about how you feel about worth, about debt, not just in the financial sense, but in what you owe yourself. What have you denied yourself in the name of stability? What opportunities have passed you by because you felt you had to uphold a certain image? The 8th house governs rebirth and shared resources, which means this could also be a time where your dynamics with others, partners, family, institutions come up for review. If you've been playing it small, sacrificing your needs to avoid conflict or rejection, that pattern may now feel too heavy to carry forward. But take heart. Shifts like these, even the ones that feel like shocks, are often the very moments that return us to our center. And sometimes, divine wisdom doesn't arrive as a whisper in the night. Sometimes it shows up as a bill you didn't expect, or a contract that suddenly falls through, or a partner whose financial habits mirror your own unhealed wounds. It's in these cracks that clarity seeps in. And when you are willing to stop patching over the imbalance and instead build something new from truth, something sacred begins. You were not created to live in illusion. You were not born to chase peace at the cost of your power. A gentle voice from wisdom, one that echoes in the hearts of those who've walked the hard path before, might say, "Don't fear the storm if it brings you closer to the shore of who you really are." That voice does not condemn your fear, but invites you to meet it with curiosity. Now may be a time when you're asked to answer an uncomfortable question. Am I holding on to this version of life because I truly believe in it, or because I'm afraid of who I might be without it? And there's no shame in either answer. But there is freedom in choosing again. Let this moment, even if it arrives in disguise as a disruption, be a threshold. One where you stop asking, "How do I hold it all together?" and begin asking, "What am I ready to rebuild with more truth, more soul, and more balance?" Because that's the gift hidden inside the storm. Not collapse, but the courage to begin again, this time, lighter. Sometimes, the weight we carry isn't from what we lack, but from how tightly we're trying to hold on. In the realm of finances and work, Libra, your desire for balance and fairness can become a silent trap where you're gripping so tightly to what you have, afraid that even the smallest release might tip the scale. But as the Four of Pentacles reveals, holding too firmly can block the very flow you're craving. Abundance, like breath, needs space to circulate. It doesn't respond to force. It responds to faith. There's a delicate truth to this phase of your journey. The way you've built your financial life so far may have worked to some extent, but it's no longer aligned with who you are becoming. Perhaps you've stayed in a job longer than you should have, or avoided that difficult salary conversation because you didn't want to disrupt harmony. Maybe you've kept your business or personal finances in a structure that no longer reflects your growth, all in the name of security. But real stability isn't about clinging to the familiar, it's about building something strong enough to expand with you. And here, the sacred energy of the number 22, known in numerology as the Master Builder, steps in as a powerful ally. This number invites you to dream and act on a much larger scale, not from ego, but from purpose. It doesn't ask for reckless ambition, but for intentional construction. What would it look like for you to rebuild your relationship with money on a foundation of honesty, clarity, and inner authority? Where would your energy shift if you saw money not as something to guard, but as a tool to serve your vision? This is where a quiet, guiding wisdom becomes essential. We are gently reminded that we were never meant to store treasures where moth and rust destroy, not because having things is wrong, but because our deepest worth isn't defined by what we accumulate. It's revealed in what we value. When you spend, do you do it from joy or from fear? When you earn, do you feel aligned or exhausted? These questions aren't meant to shame you, Libra. They are meant to liberate you. Financial peace begins not in the bank, but in the heart. And sometimes, the most empowering step you can take is to soften your grip. When you spend, try attaching a positive affirmation like, "This exchange supports my purpose." When you receive, say to yourself, "I welcome abundance with ease." This conscious loop of give and receive turns money into something more sacred, not a stressor, but a channel of movement and meaning. In your professional life, you may feel a nudge to renegotiate, to ask for more, to shift directions, or to say no to what no longer aligns with your sense of fairness. Honor that nudge. Avoid decisions rooted in pride or emotional reaction, and instead ground yourself in quiet conviction. Let your actions reflect your inner balance, not your need to please. Your lucky colors during this time: sky blue and soft turquoise, are more than aesthetic. They symbolize truth, clarity, and the courage to speak your worth. Wearing them or surrounding yourself with these tones can serve as a daily energetic reminder: you are capable of leading yourself into a new chapter of financial harmony. And remember, Libra, you are not being asked to figure it all out at once. You're simply being invited to realign. Let yourself breathe. Let the pressure lift. The universe is not testing you, it's trusting you. Trust yourself too. And so, as your financial awareness begins to shift, something deeper within you stirs, the part of you that not only desires balance but needs harmony in all relationships, especially those built on trust, communication, and emotional exchange. Libra, in love, you often strive to be the calming presence, the thoughtful one, the peacemaker. But in doing so, you sometimes forget that real harmony doesn't require you to remain silent or to sacrifice your truth for the sake of temporary peace. If you've been sensing discomfort in your connections, perhaps an unspoken tension or emotional distance, that's not a signal to retreat. It's a sacred invitation to come back to honesty. When the Two of Swords appears, as it does for you now, it reflects that quiet space between decisions, a moment of inner negotiation. You may be asking yourself whether to confront a truth or continue pretending it doesn't bother you. But your heart already knows. Silence may keep things calm on the surface, but it doesn't heal what lies underneath. This is where emotional maturity asks you to show up, not to argue, not to fix, but to speak with clarity and kindness. Even if your voice trembles, even if you're unsure how it will be received, your truth deserves air and space to live. Astrologically, with Venus moving through a sensitive angle to your sun sign, your relational field is becoming a mirror. What you've tolerated, what you've avoided, what you've longed for but didn't name, all of it is surfacing now. If you're in a relationship, this is a beautiful opportunity to bring presence back into the partnership. Ask the questions you've been afraid to ask. Not from a place of suspicion, but from a place of love that no longer wishes to settle for the shallow end. And if you're single, notice how your own voice sounds when you're not trying to impress or perform. That version of you, unfiltered, reflective, alive, is exactly who the right person will be drawn to. There's a quiet wisdom often echoed in sacred teachings. Relationships thrive not because two people never falter, but because they return to each other again and again with humility and care. It's a reminder that you don't have to be perfect to be loved, and that love, when it's real, grows stronger when it's tested. You are allowed to ask for reassurance. You are allowed to desire depth. You are allowed to say, "This matters to me," even if it rocks the boat a little. This moment in your journey is about restoring equality not just externally, but within. Do your needs have the same seat at the table as your partner's? Are your feelings honored as fully as your efforts? If not, then balance has become illusion, not integrity. And it's time to realign. That doesn't always mean ending something sometimes. It means rebuilding it with more honesty, more shared accountability, and more care. If someone new is entering your life, pay attention to how your nervous system responds to them. Do they calm you or keep you guessing? Do you feel free to express, or do you shrink into a role you think they'll like better? The right person will not require performance, they will create space for your real self to shine. You won't have to abandon yourself to be seen. You will be able to lead with heart, and be loved because of your truth, not in spite of it. Whatever your situation, remember that emotional balance is not about staying neutral. It's about staying honest. And the courage you show now and how you communicate, how you set boundaries, and how you allow yourself to be loved will shape your next chapter more than any external event ever could. Let love meet you at your most authentic. That's where real connection begins. When the heart hesitates at a crossroads, silence can sometimes feel safer than truth. Libra, you've always had a gift for keeping the peace, for soothing tension, for reading the room and softening sharp edges. But now, as the energy of the Two of Swords rises in your field, you're being asked a deeper question, not whether you can maintain harmony, but whether the harmony you're preserving is even real. Avoiding discomfort may protect the surface, but it rarely heals what's waiting underneath. And real love, the kind that honors your soul, never asks you to mute your truth for the sake of someone else's comfort. You may be standing between two choices right now: to speak up or stay quiet, to express or to appease, to reveal what you're really feeling or continue pretending that everything's fine. But even silence speaks, Libra. And the longer you hold it in, the louder it becomes inside. You were not created to walk on eggshells in your own emotional world. Your ability to communicate with grace is one of your most powerful tools, but it was never meant to replace honesty. Grace without truth becomes performance. And you, beloved Libra, are not here to perform. You're here to connect soul to soul, heart to heart. In astrology, Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and value. And right now, Venus is urging you to recalibrate the way you experience relationships, to move from sacrifice to sincerity. There's a kind of love that doesn't ask you to bend so far that you forget your own shape. That love exists. But it begins with your willingness to show up fully, even if your voice shakes, even if what you have to say causes temporary tension. Sometimes, the bridge to deeper intimacy is built on the moment you finally say, "This is what I need." And if you're single, you may soon meet someone in a professional or creative setting who subtly challenges you, not by being difficult, but by being direct. Their presence may nudge you to ask yourself whether you've been settling for compatibility over connection, or chemistry over clarity. This new energy will only resonate if you are willing to be honest about what you really want. You don't need to be more charming, more impressive, or more agreeable. You simply need to be real. That's what invites true love, and the kind that recognizes your truth and chooses to stay anyway. From a place of quiet wisdom, you're reminded that love is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of understanding. Relationships aren't meant to be perfectly smooth. They're meant to stretch us, teach us, and reflect us, even the parts we've been afraid to show. And just as we're called to speak truth in love, we're also called to listen in humility. Expressing your heart doesn't mean demanding agreement. It means creating space for truth to breathe on both sides. So what if, instead of trying to protect someone else from discomfort, you trusted them to meet you there? What if you stopped managing other people's emotions and instead honored your own? Love that lasts isn't built on pretending, it's built on presence. And the law of attraction echoes this truth. The highest vibration of the heart is authenticity. When you align with what's real, you call in what's meant. Be gentle, Libra. Speak with care, but don't hold back. Write the letter. Say the thing. Open the door. The right people won't be afraid of your honesty, they'll be drawn to it, like light finding light. And the moment you stop shrinking to fit into someone else's version of love is the moment you begin to experience the kind that fits you. There comes a point in every journey when silence is no longer a safe haven, but a form of self-abandonment. Libra, you've often found comfort in the neutral space, the in-between, where you can observe, reflect, and weigh your options before stepping forward. That reflective pause is your superpower. But now, the energy around you is shifting. You're not being asked to wait for the storm to pass anymore. You're being invited to rise through it, not with force, but with clarity. The King of Swords has entered this reading as more than just a symbol, it is a direct reflection of your potential to lead, not by dominance, but by grounded wisdom. This card doesn't shout or demand attention. It doesn't throw its weight around to prove authority. Instead, it listens, evaluates, and then speaks with unmistakable conviction. That is the kind of leadership the world needs now, and that's the leadership rising in you. The financial shock you may be navigating is not just a disruption, it's a summons. It's the universe revealing exactly where you've been too quiet, too polite, too hesitant to step into your role. Whether it's in your workplace, your family, or within your own decisions, this moment is asking, will you lead with your full voice, or will you let others decide for you? Astrologically, this shift is supported by the influence of air energy, your own element, which governs communication, intellect, and systems of justice. When air moves with intention, it becomes a clarifying force. That's your gift now, to cut through the fog, not with cold detachment, but with discernment and emotional maturity. Your leadership may not look loud or traditional. It may be quiet, consistent, and deeply rooted in values. And yet, its impact will ripple wider than you realize. There's a gentle truth, often echoed in divine teachings, that reminds us we are not given influence so we can control others, but so we can uplift, protect, and guide with humility. Power is not meant to puff us up. It's meant to steady us when others can't find their footing. You may not have chosen this moment, Libra, but it has chosen you. And the very fact that you feel uncertain is evidence that you care enough to lead well. So what does that leadership look like for you? It might begin by rewriting your own personal manifesto, declaring who you are, what you stand for, and what lines you will no longer cross just to keep others comfortable. It might mean finally taking that meeting you've postponed, sharing an idea that's been sitting in your heart, or offering your perspective even if it disrupts the usual flow. You don't need to shout to be heard. You just need to speak from a place that's rooted in truth. That's where your authority lives. If your story has been one of quiet endurance, now is the time to share it. Your experiences, your insights, your process, they are not just for you. Others are watching, searching, hoping for a light to follow. And your voice, even if it shakes, could be that light. Sometimes the most powerful leadership is simply showing someone what it looks like to choose courage when comfort is available. As you move forward, keep in mind that leadership doesn't require perfection, only presence. Let your decisions be guided not by fear of being judged, but by a quiet trust that you've been prepared for this all along. You are not here to blend in. You are here to hold the line when others forget what it means to lead with integrity. If this moment feels heavy, it's only because your role is real. Step into it, Libra. Not for praise, but because you were made to steady the storm. And so, dear Libra, if you've stayed with me until this moment, know that it's not simply because you're curious about what the stars say, it's because something inside you is stirring. A deeper part of you recognizes the truth layered beneath these words, beneath the cards, beneath the cosmic tides. You're not just listening to a message, you're remembering who you are. You see, balance was never meant to be your hiding place. It's your superpower. But true balance doesn't come from keeping everyone else happy. It comes from honoring your own truth, even when it shakes the room. Even when it rattles the very foundations you once believed were unshakable. That financial shock, that emotional pause, that uncomfortable choice, they're not obstacles. They are thresholds. Invitations. Not to shrink back, but to rise into the version of you who leads not from fear, but from stillness and self-trust. Everything we explored together, the importance of letting go to create space for true abundance, the courage to speak your truth in love, and the quiet strength of leading from your center, none of it is theory. It's a path. And it's yours to walk, one conscious, loving, empowered step at a time. But the choice will always be yours. Will you keep the peace at the cost of your purpose, or will you choose the kind of peace that arises from alignment? Take a moment now to ask yourself gently, what is one truth I've been holding back that, if spoken, could free me? What is one area in my life where I've been dimming my light to make others feel safe? And more importantly, what would happen if I stopped doing that? Your ability to change your life doesn't begin with grand gestures. It begins here. With awareness. With intention. With the smallest acts of self-leadership repeated daily, a journal entry, a firm boundary, a new financial decision, a simple but courageous conversation. You're not waiting for permission from the universe. You are the permission. And I want you to feel, truly feel, how supported you are in this process. You are not doing this alone. Every time you return to your breath, your balance, your truth, you are becoming the anchor not just for yourself, but for those around you. People feel your energy. They feel your integrity. Your leadership isn't about having the answers, it's about embodying the calm in the middle of the chaos, showing others that peace is possible, even when the world is spinning. Thank you for showing up today, not just for this reading, but for yourself. Your presence here means something. Your willingness to reflect, to feel, to shift, it's already changing everything. If this message touched you, I invite you to take a small action that amplifies its ripple, like this video, subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and share it with someone else who might need this gentle reminder of their power. Your energy, your engagement is what helps this sacred space grow, evolve, and reach hearts across the world. And before we part for now, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Speech balloon, what truth are you ready to honor this week? What inner decision are you ready to make that could bring more balance into your life? If you feel ready to rise into your quiet leadership, to become that steady presence in a changing world, comment below. I am the keeper of balance in the storm. Until next time, keep your heart steady, your voice clear, and your spirit soft but unshakable. You were born for this.